Hello everyone and welcome to another video. You might have noticed the audio is slightly better than previous videos, hopefully. We're trying a new microphone this time. Let me know in the comments if you think it's an improvement. I hope so. So today we're continuing with our build series. This time showcasing a build for the knight, specifically for this Deathknight subclass. So as usual, if you are a UO player, if you are a REGISFALL player, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video to help spread the word. So against my better judgment, I decided to continue doing these videos because I really like them. I really like doing them, and I think they help the community as well, even though it may result in nerfs. um, or maybe not, we'll see. But here we are. And without further ado, let's get into the build. So this is my Deathknight character, Dominique Beauregard, and a very strange appearance for a Deathknight, because he is a knight in pink armor, which is, well, a bit ridiculous, but that's on purpose. This is a comic relief type of character, in that he is a really spoiled noble, but tries to act as a stereotypical knight. We will see if the character development will take him somewhere else, or to change his personality, and that is reflected on his looks. That's why the pink armor and weird appearance. I also think it's hilarious to do a Death Knight in pink armor. That was that was the first idea I had, and the character came from that. But we are not here to talk about the role play of the character, but the build, right? So let's get into it. So as usual, I'm showing you everything. Here are my stats, and here as well, HP, stamina, mana, strength, dexterity, and intelligence. We are a human, and which means we get extra stat points. So let's begin with that. Death Knights have a trademark ability, which is parry. They are able to parry attacks using two-handed weapons, which most classes can't do. Most classes rely on shields to block, but Death Knights can parry. What's the difference? Let's begin with that, between parry and block. Parry functions much similar with dodge, in that if you dodge an attack, you avoid the damage completely. Whereas block, when you block an attack, you mitigate some of the damage you receive. Parry is somewhere in between. When you parry an attack, you avoid the damage completely. But there is nothing like damage reduction from parry. So if an attack hits you, you take the full damage. Of course, he wears plate armor for the most part, and that will help mitigate damage as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that it won't be block lowering or the damage as it does when you use a shield. So these are our skills, and when I equip a two-handed weapon, It improves my swordsmanship by 10 and maybe my block as well. Oh, it's just the sword, as you can see here. And this is my block. It uses the block skill, but parry is a different mechanic because I'm parrying with my weapon. So as a Death Knight, you really don't want to be using a shield. You can, but why would you? The whole class is about using two-handed weapons. And why would you want to use two-handed weapons? Well, they have greater damage. And you will see that Death Knight is all about damage. So the Knight class as a whole is a support class. Bear with me. But not on the same way that a cleric is a support class. Clerics can support the group by buffing them, by healing them, etc. They are sort of like a spellcaster support class. Whereas knights, in my opinion, are melee support classes because they can wear plate armor, they can be off tanks, they can be in the fray and the front line. But you will notice that many of their abilities are about improving what the group does, what the party does, especially Paladin subclass. But the Death Knight subclass also has party enhancing abilities. So Paladins are all about protecting the party. They can give the party they can give party shields, they can help mitigate damage, they have ways to heal the group through their attacks like an AoE life leech. Death Knights are the opposite of that. They don't want to help the party by making them more resistant. They help the party by making them more deadly. So you have ways to increase the party's damage to a target. You are a Death Knight. So the way you support the party is by bringing death to your enemies faster, by making everyone stronger. So let's delve into the skills then with this in mind. First of all, I rely on many weapons in my builds, as you probably seen in my other videos. These are my this is my main weapon, and these are secondary weapons I rely on. First of all, the first thing I want to comment on is dodge and block. You can only dodge if you are not blocking. They are mutually exclusive. So if I am blocking either because I have a shield or because I have a two-handed weapon equipped on a Death Knight, I am not dodging. So why do I want to have 60 dodge here, which is the cap for the knights? Simple, because if I am a paladin and I get disarmed, no problem. I still have my shield up to continue blocking. But if I am a Death Knight and I get disarmed, I have no way to block. My block is quite high, but it means nothing if my weapon is taken from me, if it's disarmed from my hand. So that's why I want to have dodge at the cap, because for the duration of the disarm, at least I have a chance to avoid some attacks through this. Also, because I switch weapons during combat a lot, as you can see here, using my dress macros. During the moment I am switching weapons, I am also vulnerable because I cannot block without my two-handed weapon equipped. So that's where dodge come in. Some camping just to give us more carrying capacity. Arms lore for specials, weapon specials, even though this build does not rely on weapon specials a lot, as you will see. So we have high anatomy and high tactics for damage, high swordsmanship to guarantee that we hit, right? We have to hit. This is what we do. We are strikers. And Deathknight can be both DPS and burst damage. You can do both. And in this build, we do both. Maximum healing and evaluate intelligence and magery for some utility from spells, because we can also cast healing spells. They are not so strong as clerics. The same for our buffs, which we can also do, but they are still good to use and to have. We can still buff a party this way and ourselves. So the title of the video names the build as the one-man party. Why? Well, because the Death Knight and the Knight as a whole will perform the best when they are in a group, for obvious reasons, as you'll see when we get into the feats. But we're not always in a group. Sometimes we'll be by ourselves, solo, and the way to increase a Death Knight's damage to maximum capacity is to have many instances of damage happening all at once, which is accomplished by having a party with you. But what do you do if you don't have a party? Well, then you have to become a one-party man. Oh, sorry, a one-man party. As you might have noticed by my accent, English is not my native language, so bear with me because I'll probably make other mistakes. So we want to create as many instances of damage as possible to simulate a party being with us. Of course, it won't ever be as powerful as having actual allies with you, but I do think it can be quite strong when you're playing solo. So let's take a look at our feats now. This is a max level character, so we have 7 feats. If I'm playing human, I always try to take Oath of Thalatos if I can, because it's just that good, right? It's plus 40 points to strength and plus 40 points to HP. And I wanted to be somewhat resilient on this character, because different from Paladin, Death Knights don't have many ways to avoid damage, to resist damage. So having more HP is always helpful. And this is true about these feat and some of my items as well, which also give me more HP. And it also gives me 40 strength, which buffs my damage a little bit. Because I planned to take Oath of Thalatos, which gives me plus 40 strength, I could invest all my extra human points into dexterity, which also by level 20 would give me plus 40 dex. Why is this important? Because two-handed weapons are significantly slower than one-handed weapons. So having more dexterity means your swing speed won't be as impaired as it would be without more dex. So having more dex or swing speed increase from your items is very helpful with that. And we'll talk about that when we get into the items themselves. Let's continue with the feats. Oh, by the way, Dex also makes you harder to hit, which is a plus for a class that is not exactly blocking but parrying. So I have all the Death Knight feats, and from the Knight class we have these feats. Cleave is a single target. Well, it has some AoE capacity as well. It hits everything around you, but most of the damage is done to the main target, and it also inflicts bleed. Keep this in mind because this bleed is fundamental for our build. So this was a mandatory feat for us to have. Execute is, in my opinion, one of the strongest knight feats. What does execute do is every minute you can deal a stronger attack, like it boosts your attack based on the health percentage of enemy's HP lost. So the fewer HP, like the less HP a target has, the more damage execute will do. So it's really meant to kill targets that are low on HP. This is also important for our build because when we are fighting a target, PVM or PvP, our goal is not to get them to 0 HP. Our goal is to get them low enough that execute will kill them. And lastly, from the Knight feats, we took Cavalry. This was a very hard choice between Rallying Cry and Cavalry because both of them are very situational and depend on conditions to be really effective. Rallying Cry is a very good feat at maximum level. It will give you plus 100 to strength and dexterity for 1 minute for you and all nearby party members. But it has a 5-minute cooldown. So this cooldown is so long that you have to choose very carefully when to use it. I used to have these feat when I played a paladin, and what I realized was that I wouldn't use it a lot because I would think, well, if I use it now and then I need it 2 minutes in the future, I won't be able to use it because it will be on this extremely long cooldown. So what happened was I basically didn't use it. And when I did use it, the duration was so short that it wasn't as impactful as I hope it would be. Cavalry, on the other hand, also increases my swing speed and damage, which is basically what Rallying Cry does. By increasing my strength and my dexterity, it is effectively increasing my damage and swing speed. Cavalry does the same, but it only works when you are mounted. And why is this situational? Because REGISFALL is a roleplay shard, so it makes no sense for you to ride your mounts underground or in dungeons. So you can't do that. It's blocked by design. So most of the dungeons in this game are underground. So this is something I won't be using a lot when I'm dungeon crawling, for example. Throughout this whole video will be the dungeon crawling and we won't be on a mount. And you can see that the damage increase is quite significant. If you look here, my base damage with my main weapon, and if I dismount, look how much it drops, 20 points. This is a lot. This is a lot, guys. But unfortunately, it only comes online when I'm on the surface world and I'm mounted. Why did I pick cavalry instead of a relying cry then? Because I figured cavalry at the end of the day will be more impactful for dragon bosses, which are on the surface, for PvP, which more often than not will be on the surface with war happening between factions, contesting nodes, and so on. So in the end, I went with cavalry, even though I knew it wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to use it any time as I am with relying cry, because my experience with relying cry wasn't so positive. Um, I could use it anytime, but I never used it because of the extremely long cooldown. So cavalry was the choice I made. It also fits the character background because he's a noble, so it's expected that he had some riding classes with his tutors. All right, so let's go into the Death Knight abilities now. Blood Oath, very solid feat, very long cooldown. As you will see, this is a theme for the Death Knight. All your cooldowns are extremely long, so you do need to um, use them with moderation. And because timing is very important with this class. 2 minutes cooldown, but it lasts for 30 seconds. But for these 30 seconds, all damage, or I should say a high percentage of damage coming to you, is reflected back at your attacker while Blood Oath is active. And it doesn't matter if it's one attacker or 20 attackers. You will reflect damage to all of them. This is a theme that is um, perceived in all of Death Knight's abilities because all of them are very good for AoE. Same with Dark Aura. Dark Aura consumes mana, and once you activate it, it stays on so long as you have mana, and it will damage everything around you for up to 2 tiles. So again, more AoE capability. Every 4 or 5 seconds, you will see a pulse on the character that will damage enemies around him. Lastly, Life Tap Totem. It's it's an item you place on the ground. It lasts for 40 seconds there. Again, 2 minutes. All these abilities are 2 minutes cooldown. And if you are within 10 titles of the totem, it will damage all enemies within 5 titles of it, and it will heal the Death Knight for a percentage of the damage dealt. So if you are low on HP and you are surrounded by many enemies, you can drop a totem and you will notice your HP bar going right back up because you're healing from all the damage you're dealing to those enemies. And that's not all. Totem also heals your mana for a little bit, but if you are surrounded by many enemies, you can get your mana back to full. So you can kind of notice here a loop mechanic because this uses your mana against targets around you. This recovers your mana from targets around you. This um, this to be effective needs you to take damage, right? You are taking damage to reflect it, and this recovers HP if you are surrounded by many mobs. So you can see a pattern here of how they work in conjunction and how we should time when to use them, as I will demonstrate in a little bit. Um, all right, so let's look at the free abilities we get as a Death Knight. But just keep in mind for these, that 2 minutes cooldown, you cannot use these every time. So you need to use it when it's most impactful. And reading the battlefield is key for this subclass. And of course, if you use Life Tap Totem when you're fighting one mob, um, you won't be healing a lot nor recovering a lot of mana, but the damage you do to the mob will increase because the fewer mobs in the area of the totem, the more damage the totem will do. So that it's still reliable even if you're fighting one target. Okay, so let's go for the abilities. So we have the chance to parry based on block and level with two-handed weapons. We have plus 10 weapon skill if you're wielding a two-handed weapon. Armor proficiency, which allows us to wear plate armor. Combat dressing, which allows us to use a bandage, a stronger bandage, let's say, every minute without needing to disengage, because using bandages in REGISFALL makes you disarm weapons and shields, because you need hands to apply bandages, right? It makes sense. It's a role play shard. So combat dressing bypasses that. It's like you are able to heal yourself, kind of like a second wind in the heat of combat. And lastly, our trademark ability, which is Judgment. Also 2 minutes cooldown, like the others. And Judgment is how we buff our party to inflict death on our enemies. When you target someone with Judgment, you amplify all damage dealt against them from most sources. It has a short duration, I think it's 30 seconds at maximum level, but that's still pretty good because if you have a party of, say, 10 people fighting a boss and you drop Judgment on that boss, suddenly everyone is doing a lot of damage to that boss, including ourselves. And Judgment, for its duration, will also improve the damage you do from Blood Oath, Dark Aura, Life Tap Totem, Cleave, Execute, Weapon Specials, right? And the Bleed from Cleave, and the Burn that I have in my weapon. So you can see that combining all the instances of damage emanating from my character, and by using Judgment, we can become a one-man party because we have so many instances of damage happening all at once, being amplified by Judgment. And I mentioned burn effect, right? So we covered the feats. Let's look at the weapons now. My main weapon, Firebrand, is actually just a masterwork great sword. This, in my opinion, and for this build, is the most effective and strongest weapon for this class if you are using swordsmanship. Why? First of all, Great Sword has a very nice weapon speed of 38 for a two-handed weapon. The damage is quite decent, 18 to 25. It's lower. It's lower than lower weapons. It's lower than lower two-handed weapons, but it's still pretty good. And we have many ways of amplifying damage. With damage increase property, which we have stacked in this character. Cavalry, when I'm mounted, and the main one, which is Judgment. My main concern for him was not damage, base damage of the weapon, however, but swing speed. And you will see that this great sword has an insane amount of it, with a swing speed increase of 30%. How was this achieved? Because I crafted this great sword using Ithilmar alloy. And Ithilmar has the lowest damage increase, and but it has the highest swing speed increase in from the material used, as you can see there. And not only that, it also gives you 15 decks, which further improves swing speed. And why is swing speed important? So let's take a look at our arguments. I got a level 1 argument for extra hit chance increase, because I have a lot of hit chance here, because we have to hit to deal damage, right? But this right here is one of our main sources of damage, this level 2 augment, which inflicts burn. Bleed effect can only be used once. If you use it more than once, you will just refresh the duration. The same for poison. Burn is different. Burn has a very short duration of 1 or 2 ticks, but it can stack. So as long as you are you are hitting burn, your target will continue to burn so long as you continue to hit. So that's why it's so important for this build to have a very high damage increase, swing speed increase, because the faster I hit, the more burn I inflict. I tested using a great sword with the +5 damage, flat damage augment, and against all odds, and to my surprise, hit burn does way more damage than the guaranteed +5 in the weapon, because of one parameter. When I activate Judgment, it does not improve the +5 flat damage augment. It's always a +5. So even though it's guaranteed every hit, and even though hit burn is on a percentage chance and won't apply every hit, when it does apply, it does around 15 to 20 burn damage, and it does that twice. So the times it does apply, it offsets and passes the damage you do with the +5 augment. And burn does get improved, buffed by Judgment, which the +5 does not. The +5 is always a +5, whether I have Judgment running or not, which is not true for burn. So suddenly, those 15-20 damage turns into 30-40 damage, depending on my target, which is a lot, at least for the duration of Judgment. And this is the trick right here. Oh, there's an elf passing there. Probably the dungeon has a lot of things killed, so hopefully they will respawn before we go in. Anyways, so this is our main trick here. When we have Judgment active, this will do a lot of damage, combined with Cleave, combined with Blood Oath, combined with my Dark Aura, combined with my Life Tap Totem. And all of this combined gives me a quantity of instances of damage that mimics a party, as if I had a party with me. Does that make sense so far? Okay. Um, the other weapons I use are Blaze of Death, which in my opinion is a mandatory weapon on a Death Knight to deal with crowds because it has the hit fire area and also inflicts burn. As you can see there, it has a chance to cause burn on hit. So it's very similar to my sword, but it has more AoE capabilities with the hit fire area and also with the whirlwind special attack. This is one we use more often than not because the great sword unfortunately doesn't have great um, weapon specials. It does have whirlwind as well, but I prefer to use it with the Blaze of Death because of the hit fire area. And the one we can use in PvP is Crushing Blow, which also gets improved by Judgment, but it's not that strong. Truth be told, it's not that strong. I use it sometimes against mobs, but I don't rely on that a lot for damage. We also have here um, a great sword with. Oh, I just noticed something here. Well, anyways, this one might be made of mithril. So we have one for life leech, and we have one for mana leech. So this is how we recover mana if we can't use our totem. I don't use these a lot, only when I'm really low on mana and I want to keep my aura up. Um, but yeah, it's good to have because you don't have meditation, you don't have focus. So your way to recover mana and in the middle of combat is we using hit mana leech, right? Okay. Um, and life leech, when I'm really, really low and the totem isn't available due to cooldown, I can't use my combat dressing, then I throw this one up. It's not the best life leech weapon for a Death Knight, but it's the one I have now. Eventually, I hope to replace it with a Sword of the Brotherhood artifact, which has 40% life leech. But as I said, it's not something I use a lot. I prefer to use my main weapon for damage. Okay, and I also have a Warglaive. Warglaive also has mana leech, 30%. It's fast for a range 2 weapon, so it allows me to do some kiting, just like the Blaze of Death, the halberd. But the reason I have this is for this armor ignore. If I'm fighting a target that wears plate armor, this is something I want to use in conjunction with judgment, right? So this is basically for PvP, if it comes to that. So it's good to have because normally two-handed weapons don't have armor ignore. Few of them do, and for swords, I think this may be the only one. And lastly, I have another halberd which has reptiles layer. This I basically never use, which you can tell from the durability. It's just used to kill regular dragons. Okay, so these are my weapons. And most of the build revolves around this one because of the burn effect. Okay? But that's not all yet. Deathknight is much less resilient than Paladin, as we've said. So to help me um, endure more damage and become somewhat tankier, I got this mastery, improved parry, which increases two-handed weapon parry chance by 1%. So I have an extra 10% chance to parry at level 10, right? But the real reason I wanted this is because of the second line here. Failed parries have a chance to become glancing blows, reducing the damage taken. Remember what I said, that um, the parry mechanic by itself, it's like dodge. You either parry or you don't. And if you don't parry, you take full damage. Different from block, which is always reducing damage taken. With this mastery, I can make parry block-like, let's say, because when I fail a parry, I still have a chance, which is of 45% at maximum level. It's not listed here, but I asked the coder. It's 45% at maximum level, chance of a failed parry to become a glancing blow and reduce the damage taken. This is excellent if you do a lot of solo hunting, for example, and also if you want to tank for your party. So it broadens the scope of what my character can do. The other option was two-handed mastery, which increases the damage, the base damage done by two-handed weapons by 5% plus 1% per mastery level. So a total of 15%, which in my opinion is not that impactful, especially when I have so many things boosting my damage. So how does this build play out? It has a lot of AoE capabilities, a way to mitigate damage and recover in the middle of combat. It has a lot of damage because that's what Deathknights are about, and especially many instances of damage happening all at once, as I'll demonstrate you, especially coming from the burn effect, which kinda, with everything else, simulates the effect of having a party with you when you're using judgment. I think I covered everything. You will, one last thing, spells. You will see here that I have two scrolls, one for reveal and one for energy field, because since we only have 75 majory, these spells sometimes fail in the casting, and I don't want to be caught casting a spell and then failing. I want it to succeed immediately. So using the scrolls, they always succeed from the scrolls, right? So, but other than these, we'll be more often than not just using greater heal or cure, and when we are in downtime, um, after a fight or um, in between fights, right? So let's go into the dungeon and showcase the build. I will leave my mount here. In fact, I will dispel it, which, since I will not be mounted, you will see that my damage drops significantly, as I showed you, but no problem. First thing you do as a knight before you go into action is buff yourself. Here's my cooldown for the buffs, so I know exactly when they are about to wear off, and I can take distance to buff again, because I want this 30 points to dex for more swing speed. The others aren't as consequential as this. So we are buffed. Now we're going to activate our aura, and you see that I have now a little animation on my character every time it pulses, right? And also overhead messages if it's on, or if it's off. Because I know I'm about to face a bunch of weaker enemies in hordes, I'm using my AoE weapon. Let's turn trees to stumps. And let's go. As with my previous videos, I will describe everything I'm doing and why I make this or that decision. Let's see if that elf left something for us to kill. Not a lot, apparently. So I'm using Cleave. Cleave does that 2 damage as you saw there and also inflicted bleed. So burn, burn. I have an overhead message every time my weapons inflict burn, so I know when it's proccing a lot. And I also have an overhead message for when I parry an attack. So not a lot of mobs left here. Let's see the inside. Oh, there's a skeleton leg right here. Yeah, so take a look at this. These mobs are all relatively weak, but look at how fast I can kill them all just using Aura and Whirlwind and the hit area from the Blaze of Death, 50% hit fire area. And the mobs on this side are relatively stronger than the ones on that other side. So when they are all around me, I will also use Cleave. Oops, close my back. Okay. So I use yeah, in fact, I killed them so fast I couldn't cleave them. I cleaved the that rotting corpse there by making him my last target. I think I looted something I didn't want to. Okay. So look at my mana now. It's basically at half. I'm recovering a bit from my mana regeneration, but I will show you the totem and Blood Oath in action now because we're going to face some stronger enemies. So I dropped my totem on the ground. It's right here, you see, life tap totem owner Dominic Beauregard, which is me, and it's now pulsing with my aura and causing damage. I used Cleave, Whirlwind, I'm poisoned, and that's okay because my totem will prevent that poison from being super effective. And everything is dead. And now I use Cure and I'm back. So you saw that I used Whirlwind a few times. I had my aura ticking, which also consumes mana. But because I dropped my totem on the ground, oh, I want this one. My mana actually increased instead of dropping too much. So let's go up here. A lot of enemies here as well. And Blood Oath and Totem are on cooldown, and they are a long cooldown as we've seen. Cleave, Whirlwind, Execute. 222 damage from using Execute on that Leech Lord. I didn't have to, I just wanted to show you how it works because we're very selective about the enemies we use Execute on. So a lot of enemies here, I like doing this. I pull them all around me. Whirlwind, Whirlwind. So I am quite low on mana now. Let's just loot some of these. Never mind. Let's just carry on with the video. I think maybe my aura turned off. Nope, it's still here, but it's very dangerously close to turning off because I'm low on mana. So I'm gonna throw my mana leech weapon and kill these rats to get some mana off them, hopefully. Yep, we got some, so we're good again. Blood Oath and Totem are off cooldown. These are strong enemies, especially that demon. So we're dropping Totem immediately to damage all of them. We're gonna drop a Cleave as well. Okay, now they are all bleeding. And taking damage from Aura and Totem, while Totem is keeping me alive. Okay, I will execute this Blood Elemental, because just to clear them quickly. Second Blood Elemental going down. And you can see I keep moving because I'm avoiding the demon's attacks because he's strong. Alright, he's dead. Switching to my main weapon. Judgment on him. And Blood Oath active. Oh, I forgot to say, I also have the Deathknight trinket, which I just activated. It's I changed the appearance to a circlet on my head, so it's not appearing where the trinkets normally do. But when I activate it, I cause 30 damage, which is also improved by Judgment, and also a mortal wound effect. This is also very good for the build because it prevents my targets from healing. Okay, execute, 276 damage, and it's dead. So, using bandage here, and great heals, which is not a lot as you can see. But I was able to get myself almost back to full and dealt with the enemy quick enough. And you see that when the enemy gets low and it starts to move away, I switch weapon to my 2-range weapon, the halberd, and just keep attacking from distance. Why? Because I can. I am a Death Knight. I can use halberds effectively, so why not take advantage of that to avoid unnecessary damage? Look at the hit fire area doing its trick. I'll drop a clean here. And boom, they're all dead. These are relatively weak enemies. Let's just make our way to where the stronger stuff is. You can use obstacles, like these tables here. Execute. To take full advantage of the two tiles range. All right. So combat dressing has the capability of pouring poison as well. So look at the damage the skeleton is taking just from the hit fire area that I'm proccing by fighting a different enemy. Oh, execute is on cooldown, so let's just concussion blow. Okay. And because I don't want to stop running to use spells, I'll just use my combat dressing, which you can see healed me for 43 HP. We'll skip this area first and go straight here. So there's a Balrog in there, and to fight him, oops, I want to have my abilities off cooldown. I'm just gonna use Cleave on these Blood Elemental. Yep. And let's go for Judgment against this big boy. Look at the burns proccing and the damage it's doing and how quickly it's going down. So execute with 487 damage. This is execute when you have judgment active. Okay, switching back to my halberd because I know there's a horde of enemies ahead and I want to use my totem to deal with them as well and to recover mana. I will jump in the middle of them all. Okay, totem is on the ground. You can see here how it looks. And I'm not using anything else, just attacks now and then hit fire area, dark aura, and the totem. They're all dying. Reason I'm doing this is because I want to save execute for a Balrog that is down here, and also cleave. So I used cleave in the beginning of the fight because it's 30 seconds cooldown. By the end of the fight I know I will have it up again to use against that guy. And why do I want that? Because judgment is on cooldown, so I need to use other things to kill it. In this case I will use Blood Oath. See the animation on him? That's me reflecting damage. Cleave. I'll also use my trinket for extra 30 damage. Oh, I didn't proc burn a lot this time. So execute. And he's dead. Okay, nothing we want from here. Let's carry on. Equipping my halberd again. My AoE weapon, as I call it. Judgment is back up. We can see our cooldowns in green down there. So this is something that I love doing as this class. I will go out of war mode because I don't want to hit them. I just want them to follow me. I'll make the Baron my last target. Okay, I'm gonna use my combat dressing here. Okay, they are all on me. Totem is off cooldown. Boom, Totem is on the ground. And the Baron is judged. But I need to keep mobile. Look at my mana and my HP recovering from the damage the Totem is doing. And this is because I focus on the Baron most of the time. I'm not even targeting the others. But now that the Baron is dead, you can start circling around, avoiding hits. Okay, cleave is up. And because they're close to me, they all take damage. Execute. And the last one is dead. Look at how much damage we caused, how much XP we got, and what did we expend. We arrived here almost at half HP. Look at how we are now. So managing your cooldowns is how you play this class to full potential. Because if you do it right, you can deal with hordes of enemies as I'm doing. And this is the quickest way to level up, killing many things all at once. So we have these two dudes here. I want to kill them fast because this other dude is somewhat stronger. So I'm pulling them away. Switching to Blood Elemental now because I know the Lich will still take damage from the hit area. Switching back to Lich, to whoever is closer to me. Switching back to Elemental. Okay, Elemental is dead. Back to Lich. Okay, Lich is dead as well. Combat dressing to get me back, and I'm now engaging the Knight. I'm not going to use Judgment on him because it's on a 2-minute cooldown and I want to keep it for the first mob we will face when we get down in hell. But he hits me a lot, so I'm gonna use Blood Oath instead to reflect some damage because he keeps hitting us and stunning us. I'll also use Cleave because it's just a 30 seconds cooldown, so I know it will be up when we face the other mob down there. Burn, applying. You can drop some concussion blows here and there just to do some more damage. He will teleport away. Okay, and if you do Control Shift, you can see where he went to and use the attack to hit him there. Cleave again. Cleave you can use on cooldown. Like as it comes off cooldown, you can just drop it because it's just 30 seconds. He stuns me even when I parry the attack. Interesting. How do I know I'm being stunned? Because overhead message. Okay, switching to Halberd, because now I can hit him from 2 tile distance and he can't retaliate. Time for execute. And he's dead. When strong mobs are very low on HP, they start running at you again, like a desperate move. Okay, we have an Impaler. This guy has bleed, it has poison as well, so we're gonna use Judgment, and we're gonna drop the totem as well, because we want many damage instances on him. Use my Trinket. Look at the quantity of damage. This build is not about high damage, high units of damage. It's all about quantity. Look at these guys. So this is bleed, burn, totem, judgment, amplifying everything. My dark aura as well. Blood Oath came off cooldown, but we're not gonna use it, because if we do, it will be on cooldown on our next fight, and it's almost dead. So we don't need to waste a 2-minute cooldown ability on an enemy that's almost dead. Okay, I am taking some damage because my totem is no longer there, so I'm not healing. I'm gonna use my combat dressing. Hopefully it cures poison as well. It just did, but I'm poisoned again. But no problem. I got some HP back. I know this dude will start moving away very soon. There you go. So I'm gonna use a bandage and cure myself. Which I can't because I'm bleeding, but the bandage will cure the bleeding. Now I will cure the poison. Oh, Jesus. There you go. I'm gonna drink a potion. Drink and heal a little bit. Equip Halberd. And I don't need to engage. I can just fight him from distance. And I'll use Execute, and he's dead. Alright, let's recover a little bit more, because we're quite low. You notice that we don't cast a lot of spells in the fights themselves, because we are basically melee. And my abilities are almost off cooldown, so that means I'm ready to kill something else. Oh, let's go for this Abysmal Aura, and I'm gonna use everything on him now. Okay, I have Blood Oath activated, Judgment on him, and also the totem on the ground. Cleave already going, Trinket already used, so now we just need to wait for the burns. Burn happening. I dropped some Concussion Blow, another burn. See, because Concussion Blow, even though it's not a lot of damage, it's pretty decent if you have Judgment active. Look at how fast it dropped, guys. And look at my stats. I'm still pretty good here. Starting to move away. Now I switch to Halberd. Just have to keep distance when it tries to re-engage. Stuck him in the corner. And now execute. And we're good, but we killed it so fast that everything is on cooldown. So let's see what's ahead of us and try to fight it without our abilities. Okay, this one is not so strong, but it has a very strong poison, and I'm already poisoned. It's a lethal poison. This will be harder. I don't want to cure myself yet because I know it will just poison me again. So I'm saving my... Okay, I'm gonna use it now. Combat dressing because it's half HP. And I'll switch to my life leech weapon just to keep healthy. Cleave is up. He's at half HP. It's no longer worth it to use Judgment, Life Tap Totem, or Blood Oath because it's almost dead, right? So I will switch back to my burn weapon. He immediately poisons me. See why dodge is important? It managed to hit me the moment I unequipped. That means I failed to dodge, but that's alright. Combat dressing is back in 10 seconds. And very soon it will start moving away. Cleave, Trinket, combat dressing is back in, it's back now. And I'm gonna also throw a cure. Some healing, halberd equipped, which also inflicts burn. I think the halberd has a higher chance, in fact, for being an artifact. Because you see there, I applied it 3 times, 4 now. Cleave, execute, dead. So even if we're not using the full extent of our abilities, if they're on cooldown, we still did pretty okay. Little downtime here, healing up, but gives us time to recover. I'm not going to do this full dungeon here. I'm just gonna do one more enemy to demonstrate. Let's see what's here. Oh, okay, let's fight one using our abilities to compare with that previous fight. This is actually perfect. So Judgment, Totem, and Blood Oath. Cleave, Trinket is on cooldown. It's a 2-minute cooldown, so we can't use this. So we're gonna drop Concussion Blow. Burn, good. Other Concussion Blow. Okay, Execute is off cooldown. I'm poisoned, but I'm okay because I know Combat Dressing is off cooldown, so I can use it when and if it's really needed. It's not now because the totem is on the ground. It will keep me healthy. Cleave. Okay, Combat Dressing now to remove poison, and we can resume attacking from distance. Execute. And I'm relatively okay still. So this is the Deathknight, guys, the one-man party. What do you think? Have you tried the night class yet? After this video, do you think you want to give it a try? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be gameplay with no commentary for the Deathknight. I'll see you then. Bye bye.